The snow had been falling for 3 days straight on the colony world of Arcturus Prime, and Mara Ellison was beginning to think she'd made a terrible mistake accepting the posting here. The frontier settlement was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to escape the crowded core worlds and their suffocating bureaucracies. Instead, she'd found herself in a prefab shelter on the edge of civilization, where the cold seeped through every seal and the loneliness was as thick as the snowdrifts. She was returning from the supply depot, her thermal suit crackling with ice, when she heard the sound, a weak, plaintive cry that cut through the howling wind. Mara stopped, her breath fogging inside her helmet's visor. There it was again, coming from behind a snowbank near the perimeter fence. Probably just the wind, she muttered to herself, but her feet were already carrying her toward the sound. What she found made her heart clench. Two cats, or what looked like cats, lay huddled together in a shallow depression, their fur matted with ice and snow. They were old, that much was obvious. Their faces were grizzled, their bodies thin beneath the frozen coating. One was a deep charcoal gray, the other a pale silver that seemed to shimmer even through the ice. "Oh, you poor things," Mara whispered, kneeling beside them. She had no idea how cats had gotten this far out on a human colony world, but questions could wait. These creatures were dying. She scooped them up as gently as she could, feeling how light they were, how fragile. They didn't resist, didn't even open their eyes. Mara tucked them inside her thermal suit against her chest and ran for home. Inside her shelter, she laid them on heated blankets near the thermal core, carefully working to thaw them without shocking their systems. She'd done veterinary training in her youth, back before the colony dreams had taken hold, and those old instincts kicked in now. Warm water, gentle massage, careful monitoring of their breathing and heart rates. Hours passed. The blizzard outside intensified, battering her shelter with cosmic fury, but inside, Mara worked with steady hands and a focused mind. Slowly, achingly slowly, the cats began to respond. The gray one's eyes fluttered open first, deep amber eyes that held an intelligence that made Mara pause. Then the silver one stirred, revealing eyes of startling violet. "There you are," Mara said softly, offering them water from a dropper. "You're safe now." The cats drank weakly, then seemed to sink back into sleep. Mara sat with them through the night, dozing in her chair, waking periodically to check on them. By morning, the blizzard had passed, leaving the world outside blanketed in pristine white. That's when she heard the engines. Mara went to her window and felt her blood turn cold. Ships, massive imperial cruisers, were descending through the atmosphere, their hulls bearing the three-starred insignia of the Valkyrian Empire. Smaller craft, troop transports, and assault shuttles were already touching down around her settlement. Within minutes, soldiers in powered armor had formed a perimeter around her home, their weapons trained on her door. "This is impossible," Mara breathed. The Valkyrian Empire was 3 sectors away, beyond the neutral zone. Humans and Valkyrians had a non-aggression treaty. What were they doing here? Her comm unit crackled to life. "Mara Ellison, you are ordered to surrender the royal fugitives immediately. Comply, and you will not be harmed." Royal fugitives? Mara spun toward the cats, who were now sitting upright on the heated blankets, watching her with those impossibly intelligent eyes. The pieces began to fall into place, the strange shimmer to their fur, the weight of their gazes, the fact that they'd been found on a human colony world where they had no business being. "You're not cats at all, are you?" she asked, the gray one. "No," she understood now. His name was Kalar, inclined his head slowly. The silver one, Valthrix, rose to her feet with a grace that belied her apparent age. Before Mara's eyes, the air around them began to shimmer. The forms shifted, grew, transformed. Where 2 old cats had been, 2 elderly Valkyrians now stood, their reptilian features noble and worn, their robes tattered but bearing unmistakable marks of royalty. "Forgive the deception," Kalar said, his voice like distant thunder. "We had little choice. We are the former emperor and empress," Valthrix added, her voice softer but no less commanding. "Deposed by our own grandson in a coup 6 cycles ago. We fled using ancient shape-shifting technology, but the transformation requires immense energy. The cold, we could not maintain it. Your grandson found you," Mara said, understanding dawning. He did, Kaler confirmed. But he did not find us in time. You saved us, Mara Ellison. By the laws of our people, we now owe you a life debt. The comm crackled again. Final warning, human. Surrender them or face the consequences. Mara looked at the two elderly Velcarians, then at the army surrounding her home, then back again. She thought about why she'd come to the frontier, to escape the core world's politics, to live free, to make her own choices. And she realized that freedom didn't mean running from difficult decisions. It meant making them on your own terms. No, she said into the comm, unwise, came the response. Probably, Mara agreed. But I didn't save them just to hand them over to someone who'd leave them to freeze to death. She turned to Kaler and Veilfrix. Can you fight? The former emperor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. We are old, not dead, child. Good, Mara said, moving to her weapons locker. Because humans have a saying, mess with someone under our protection, and you mess with all of us. She activated her emergency beacon, the one that connected directly to the Human Colonial Defense Network. Within seconds, responses flooded in from every human ship and settlement within range. Frontier colonists, survey crews, mining operations, even a few naval patrol vessels that happened to be passing through. The Velcarian commander's voice returned, now uncertain. What are you doing? Something stupid, Mara said cheerfully. But here's the thing about humans, we're really good at stupid. We took in 2 frozen old cats because it was the right thing to do. Now we're going to protect them, because that's also the right thing to do. Outside, the Imperial forces began to shift nervously as human ships started appearing in the upper atmosphere. Not many, not yet, but enough. And more were coming. The comm channels were alive with human voices, all asking the same question. Who needs help? Kaler and Veilfrix stood beside Mara at the window, watching the standoff develop. Your people are remarkable, Veilfrix said quietly. We're just stubborn, Mara replied. No, Kaler said, placing a clawed hand on her shoulder. You are humanity, and the galaxy is better for it. The standoff lasted 6 hours before the Imperial forces withdrew, unwilling to start an interstellar incident over 2 fugitives who had, by all accounts, found sanctuary with a species known for its unreasonable tenacity and protective instincts. That evening, as Mara shared her meager rations with 2 elderly Velcarians who politely declined to shapeshift back into cats, she reflected that perhaps the frontier was exactly where she needed to be. Not running from the core worlds, but living by the principles they'd taught her. Sometimes, saving 2 frozen old cats was just the beginning of the story, and sometimes, that was exactly how legends were